have uncovered the glyphs. Very good. It is time we awoke the Oracle from its deathless slumber. O great Oracle, grant us the knowledge we seek. What evil rises in this land?
The prophecy is fulfilled. The guildsman is here. You follow the footsteps of the one who bore the mask you carry. Jack of Blades has awakened the dormant power of the Summoners. He has used the blood of your family to feed his new shell beyond the Bronze Gate. But now his soul mask is in your hands. You must use it to feed the Archon's shrine and open the gate. Go now and face your destiny.
So, Jack has cheated death once more. Never have we encountered a being like him. I do not envy you. The Bronze Gate has long been a symbol of doom in this land. Return to Briar Rose at the shrine. Perhaps she can tell you how to use Jack's soul mask. I must return to the guild. May fate smile on you.
You've received a new quest card.
The sign of Yeron. You wish to know more about the people of Albion and beyond. It's been so long since I told anyone about Whisper. The people of Albion can be fickle in their affections, and Whisper's inglorious defeat in the arena stripped her of any repute she may have once possessed. For many, she would never grow out of the immense shadow of her brother Thunder. And so she left our shores and set out for the distant homeland she had last seen as a child. Her sea journey was once again beset with difficulties, and her ship was boarded by pirates. None of them survived. She arrived at shore she barely remembered, with nothing but her own strength. Yet now she is beloved as a true hero among her own people. I know some interesting things about Teresa. After walking out of the Chamber of Fate, Teresa fled to the mountains, climbing alone to their summit. There, she was taken in by Palgan, an old will user from the lands to the east. Palgan had been meditating in the thin air close to the clouds, but he offered to take her with him on returning to his homeland. One night, Teresa awoke to find him performing a ritual above her, in an attempt to steal her prophetic powers. She killed him and used the amulet that had transported him halfway across the globe. She lives in the east now, haunted by her past only in rare nightmares. It's been so long since I told anyone about the Guildmaster. He may be known for his calm poise, as a stern authority rather than an adventurer, but this was not always so. In his youth, when he went by the name of Weaver, he was part of a cluster of heroes, maids among them, who rebelled against the previous guild regime and its resolution of offering only virtuous quests. Much blood was spilled in this short revolt in the name of freedom, leaving the number of heroes, already rare in a world of diminishing will presence, at its lowest for centuries. It was Scythe who proposed Weaver as the new guildmaster, seeing in him the serene and impartial man he would become. Someone who would leave the moral destiny of all future acolytes in their own hands. I know some interesting things about thunder. Many years ago, a ship from the South Islands was carried upon a wave mightier than any dragon, and within the ship stood the mountain-like frame of thunder. It was a storm as none aboard had ever seen, but the great warrior was concerned with one thing only: quelling the cries of a child, his young sister, Whisper. The wave bore the vessel across vast expanses of ocean and into a nest of krakens. Thunder cast down lightning upon them, and gathering Whisper in his arms, dove into the waters. As he swam, they heard the screams of dying men and the sounds of timber torn apart behind them. It was 2 days before they reached the shores of Albion, leaving their home as far off as a dream. It's Briar Rose. Born into a noble family, Briar's early childhood was one of luxury and plenty. But once her strength and unique abilities began to manifest themselves, her world fell apart. Her mother died in an accident Briar could do little to prevent. Yet her grieving father cast her out, and she was left to fend for herself, learning to rely on no one. She has made the guild her home, and it is in its books that she has found the companionship she has never asked for from another living being. It was her burning quest for knowledge that sent her on journeys far beyond Albion during the time you made your mark in this world. But she is here to stay now. It's been so long since I told any Scythe. There is little I can tell you of Scythe's origins, for such knowledge is a yet he is much more ancient than any of this time would believe possible, and has walked this world since long before the guild existed. It has been centuries since he's been personally involved in any action. But of those among us, only Jack of Blades has seen and done more. Let's see. Let's discuss Maze. You and Maze had more in common than you ever realized. He too, as a child, he watched his parents torn apart by Bulverines as they walked through the woods. The beasts were about to turn on him when 3 warriors crashed into the clearing. 2 of them in an instant. Jack slew the Bulverines in a show of Maze carried this debt all his life. It burdened his every action, and in the end, I know the archaeologist. The one who called himself the archaeologist was one of the few with a truth, but he was also a mine of disinformation, gathered from unreliable and sometimes contradicting sources, and he was too cowardly to delve far enough into the mysteries of that age. After his kidnapping by minions, he fled to the cities of the West, disguised as a glove trader. He hasn't opened a book or stepped near a ruin since. Perhaps you would like to hear the story of Whisper. For many, she arrived. The sign of Morik. I shall reveal to you the legend I know. Some demon doors. The life of a rock. Mine is that of demon. Perhaps the Necropolis. The place they call the Necropolis was not always a city of ghosts and relics. It was once as thriving as any town, and its people as peaceful and content as any other. Yet, there was one among them who was not so satisfied with this life, and bargained the fate of his city in exchange for wealth and power with entities too powerful to comprehend. The very next day, the riches he had desired were his, but he wasn't able to enjoy them for long. A vast force from beyond this world swept the city and wrought utter devastation so swiftly that the dead didn't realize they were no longer among the living. Some still wander the streets, shadows of their former selves, forever condemned by the avarice of one man. The ship of when the Old Kingdom constructed the Hook Coast Lighthouse, they did so. The beating of its powerful pulse summoned a ship from the depths of time, sunken for millennia. This ship could carry the traveler to any part of, but it would take a steep. Why don't I? One of Albion's oldest fables is the tale of a sword whose enormous powers were matched only by the perfect pitch voice with which it would sing battle songs. But in some versions of the myth, it was its dreadful lack of children that would defeat whole armies. This has led some scholars to believe that the tale has its root in Temens, the worst bard ever to exist. He who once killed an old hero by regaling him with a monstrously bad melody. Unfortunately, it is only a fable, and such a sword has never existed. I know the gods. Though many worship these so-called gods, the temples to Skorm and Avo can only be dated as far back as 400 years ago. He uncovered 2 locations in Albion where the will, in one of them, it tended towards good, healing those who stood there. In the other, it tended towards evil, filling the mind of its visitors with horror. The trader saw an opportunity. He would create 2 temples to 2 opposing gods and demand. In time, people came to believe in the existence of Skorm and Avo. Why don't a demon door the light my mat? The sign of Kalran. You seek Balverine. The first Balverine was born of the bite of a creature far more terrible, the Balvorn, who dwelt upon this world when gods and demons were still the primary force. When men first started to walk amongst them, the Balvorn only once did a human survive such an attack. He became the first Wolverine, and his curse has survived to this day. Why don't I share with you Krakens? If Krakens had existed on land as the first trolls did, or in the air as the greatest dragons did, they would be as rare as most other creatures from the age before man. But they dwell in the deep, unexplored mysteries of the sea, and there they have survived since their creation in the War of the Gods. There is much in the vast depths of the ocean that is unknown to the people of Albion, and its people should pray it stays that. Perhaps in the sand, many strange creatures have walked upon this world since its birth. Yet, the historians who found some of their remains are responsible for one which never existed. The fabled sand goose, joining the remains of various beasts. They hypothesized that this flightless bird was the size of a house, lived primarily in deserts, and was able to speak a variety of languages. There are those who still believe in its existence, but their search. Screamers. These unfortunate beings were once men, will users who dared to oppose Jack of Blades. They were cursed, never to find rest, except by torturing the souls of the dead and feeding on the life force of the living. But their true nature is only hinted at in our reality. Their true power is in the realm of death, where souls must pass before reaching their place of torment or peace. Every person who dies in this world must escape their screams before finding their own rest. Summoners. Unseen for almost as long as the old kingdom has been gone, a will user called Halleck, cast out by the Archon for his use of dangerous dark magics people throughout the kingdom. I shall Wolverine, that went on. Yes, the son I know, the Archon. This age understands nothing of the old kingdom, and by possession of the Sword of Aeons. When Jack found it, it was a ghost of the weapon it once was, and the name of Archon has become so detached from the realities of those kings that it is meaningless among the modern. But the first Archon still casts his shadow in this world, a world that would not even exist had he not wrested it from the gods it belonged to before the age of man. I shall tell book in the early years of the king. Soon, a whole community when the old, but a hand you can still. Perhaps, Jack, the mask you carry is empty, but Jack has used it for longer than you can comprehend. He is no hero, he is not even a man. When the world was a blur of fire and demons, when its soil had felt not the tread of humans, and was filled with creatures only your worst nightmares could begin to suggest, even then was Jack old. What you killed in the Chamber of Fate was just the latest vessel he had inhabited. Take good care of the soul mask now. Without it, why don't Nostro? Among the oldest heroes still bound to this world is Nostro, the founder of the... He was a tireless warrior, but he did not die the death he craved, for he was poisoned by an assassin, leaving his soul You returned the battle attire that was stolen from his grave, but he still seeks an honorable end before he can be truly at peace. The Oracle. I was created by order of the third Archon, not just to prepare the kingdom for future disasters, but to act as a keeper of all past, and 4 will users with visionary powers were charged with the task. Calran, Avisto, Euron, and Morik. Each carve a glyph of inquiry into stone, with the symbols that would allow their user after the fall of the kingdom. Thousands of years later, Snowspire found itself under imminent attack from invading. The guild sent 4 acolytes to bury the glyphs in the necropolis, where they remained until you... the prophets of the... When the old kingdom was under fire, charged with guarding, they were encased in glass cages that both protected them from the beating of the heart and kept them alive until such time as they were released from their duty, or died for... Snowspire. The town of Snowspire was once but one of many thriving cities in the northern wastes, and its warriors, steeled by the harshest winters known. But when the kingdom fell, Snowspire and all the Cullis gates were silenced, and the people of the north were cut off from all living beings beyond the ice. The Archon. This aid and the butter.
I know I wasted all with the...
Hey, glad you're still with us. These inscriptions are fascinating, you know. Everything indicates that Jack's new form will emerge from behind the bronze gate, and this structure is the key to opening it. But it looks like it will take the souls of 3 heroes to activate the mechanism. These things are never simple, are they? It doesn't want just any heroes either. The first instruction calls for the king of the arena, no less. I suppose you could chop your own head off, but then there'd be no one for me to order around, would there? Why don't you pay Thunder a visit? He knows the arena inside and out. I've checked with the guild and they say he's in Knothole Glade. You've still got Jack's mask, haven't you? Good. You'll need it to trap the souls. I still can't believe he might not be dead. Anyway, I better start researching the second inscription.
Yes, little hero, I'm back, and our business is not quite finished. You destroyed my soul, remember? Have you any idea how many centuries I spent looking for it? My work is done. Soon I will...
Now look, I won't tell you again. We don't need a hero. For the first time in years, we are being attacked, seized, or kidnapped by anything. Now leave us alone.
You. Brian Rose said you would come. I will tell you what I know. If you will get you out of my sight. We were both once called kings of the arena, but there have been many heroes of the past who have come in there. You should search in the bloody dust of the arena itself. They say the souls of the past champions haunted, resting in the place of the greatest achievement. Now go. Unless I hear you take my soul. Take anything else. Why go away to the arena? You have a perfectly good soul right in front of you.
Shut up, Jack. I'm not going to kill someone. Not evil like you. Yes, I know I'm talking to you. But through the microphone, and it's being said to you guys, but still. I'm saying what I was on my mind. Stupid old Jack of Blazes. I can't believe this way about anyone. His influence does not help. His influence would work. Parents would have influenced me to smoke and drink alcohol. But they can't influence me. I want to do this soul for this episode. This episode will be the other two souls. Okay. And
And start killing everyone! I simply cannot fight this feeling of the anxiety right.
This is a truly special occasion. Watch a hero ripped to pieces by trolls and their very own minions.
Guardians are back, and they brought some puppies for our hero to play with. Can our hero withstand another wave of friendly furry beasts? We certainly hope not. Try to keep your combat. Your combat. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from sunny Snowstar, I give you
Just trying to put him down. He knows he can't win. Just trying to put him down so many times that I don't want to heal, but it's not funny.
pummeling a drip from the guild. Was
Keep trying, Jack. You're not going to beat me. Only tell me throw it. to consider. I just defeated one.
quest card waiting for you at the bottom of a slime pit. You found your first soul, did you? But the shrine is ever so greedy. It will want more before it's had its fill. I wonder who the next one will belong to.
It'll belong to his mother.
Do you have that arena soul yet? Come back to the shrine and we'll see if it works.
Finish this episode off with the next location. After depositing the soul. Please don't tell me, Xbox, that you decided to freeze. Xbox, are you kidding me? With a tear, my Xbox wants to give up, wants me to quit. But it has no right to tell me what to do. And if it tries, it's just going to lose this battle. So instead, it'll piss me off. If the cutscene, if it didn't save, and I have to reboot the entire mission, I still will not give up. But I will be mad at the Xbox for doing it. Do you mind opening it? No, I think it's because you decided to not open it. You're not even trying to open it. It's not because it's taking a long time to open. It's because you didn't even try. My Xbox does this to me a lot. Even my 360 does the exact same thing. Even my computer. Please don't reboot me from the start of the quest. If you do, you are doomed. Fox, you will be doomed to rot in pieces.
Do you have that arena soul yet?
Okay,
Come back to the
good,
shrine and we'll see if it works. I hope this thing works. You need to release the soul from the mask and, well, your guess is as good as mine. I've never seen anything like it. It's like it's using the soul to power itself. Anyway, we figured out the second inscription. It says, heroine. I can't think of anyone who fits the description better than Scarlet Robe, your mother. There's always me, of course, but as you can see, I'm still alive, and I plan to stay that way. You'll have to pay her tomb in Oakvale another visit. I know this won't be easy, but Scarlet was always one to make sacrifices, remember?
Somewhere else. Especially because I want to hear Jack make comments on the fact that I could have just killed Fire Rose.
Ah, poor Scarlet. Hasn't she suffered enough? Would you really do that to your own mother? Take Briar. She is of no